Guess who's back? Back again. Justin Allegri is back. Tell your friends, man. It's been a couple of years, Justin. The voice of the Cal Bears, the San Jose Giants, MLB The Show is back on Chainsaw Crew. Thank you so much for coming on, Justin. How are you doing this evening, man?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to come on. It's good to see you guys again, and it means we're talking some football, so that gets me excited.
Yes, sir, man. And you know, it's funny. I was just listening to our last one on my ride home from work, and we were talking about is Oregon State and Cal ever going to play again?
Yeah.
Who's playing quarterback this weekend for Cal? And it ends up being Fernando Mendoza, and now he's at Indiana. And we were talking about Jade Knott. He's at Oklahoma. It's like that feels like a lifetime ago, and here we are playing each other still 2 years in a row as
Right.
non-conference members.
Each off season nowadays kind of feels like 5 years because
Yes.
you look back and you can go month by month, and there are storylines that completely change roster or off the field stuff. Like it is hard to follow all the storylines for college football in the off season now. So yeah, it feels like a long time ago, but really it wasn't.
I know, and it's just so funny. Like DJ Uyunglele and Aiden Childs were slinging the ball for Oregon State in that game in Berkeley. And by the way, thank you again for those tickets. Me
Oh
and
yeah,
my
no
family
problem.
got set up thanks to Justin. Took like 5 minutes to tell us to sit down after Oregon State scored. So it was a good time, man. I appreciate you for doing that too. And I mentioned earlier the San Jose Giants. You are the voice of the San Jose Giants, and they're having a pretty good year in the California League, man. I keep up with a lot of minor league baseball. Dakota Jordan, Walker Martin have some nice
Yeah.
years for the Giants. Huh? How's it been this year for them?
It's been a lot of fun, and you guys are now getting a chance to see them at least a little bit closer. A lot of those prospects are up in Eugene, the high A affiliate. So, yeah, the San Jose Giants. I mean, they had a tremendous first half, won the first half North Division title, which means you're automatically in the playoffs. And now we're starting to see all those prospects get elevated, promoted, move on, which means that the new wave of draftees come in. So there are several that were drafted this year that are now on the team. I actually just did a game last night, so they're fun. They've got playoff coming up at the early part of September. So yeah, this is probably one of the best teams that I've covered down in San Jose. There are a lot of good players on that roster.
Yeah, man. And Excite Ballpark, I've been there a few times. I grew up in the Bay Area. I grew up in Pleasanton. So I've been down there a handful of times to watch some games because I'm an A's fan. So I do follow Stockton Ports, who are having a horrendous season.
Yeah.
And I've been to I've been to Excite a few times. I've played a game there in summer ball as well. And it's just that is what minor league baseball should look and feel like down there. It is just such a cool little place, man.
It's very intimate. It gives you that family vibe. They do a lot of those promotions that are really fun. You come out to the park and there's always something going on that's
Yep.
not related to the game necessarily. So yeah, they do a fun job. It's funny that you mentioned the ports. Actually, Joe Rizzo, who's the other voice of the San Jose Giants and does some San Francisco games. We were talking about it last night off the air that they haven't made the playoffs in 6 years, but they still are having contributing players make it to the big leagues.
Hmm.
Like there are a lot of guys that are in Sacramento right now with the A's that came through the port system, even though the wins and losses for them aren't very good. But there's some guys that we saw come through Stockton over the years that have been pretty darn good.
I know I remember being at Stockton a couple years ago and they were playing the Giants and Lawrence Butler was still with Stockton at that time, and me
Hmm.
and my buddies were like, "This looks like the only guy who's probably got a shot to make the major leagues." And
Yeah.
here he is. He's playing center
Yeah.
field now with Denzel Clark out. So, yeah,
Yeah.
man, it's the California League is really that's near and dear to my heart because I've been to a ton of games in the California League. I've played up and down in California in summer league when I was in high school, so I've seen a lot of those stadiums, and it's just San Jose is just so awesome. And
Yeah.
you as a Bay Area guy, we talked about this last time a couple years ago when you replaced Joe Starkey. You got a couple of years under your belt now just looking up to all the other Bay Area broadcasters that you've been around as a kid, listening to them the same as I am, John Miller, Ken
Yeah.
Korak. The list goes on and on. And now recently, Guy Haberman has taken over for the Niners because Greg Papa has unfortunately had cancer. Man, just talk about the influences that you've had as a kid growing up as a Bay Area announcer and just how you put that into your day-to-day work.
Yeah, I think the right word is just we're spoiled because I don't care what sport you listen to or what league it was. And you mentioned the names, John Miller, Dave Fleming, Ken Korak with the A's, Vince Cotroneo, Bill King back before. If you're a Sharks fan, Dan Rusanowski is probably one
Yeah,
of
he's
the
the
best in
best.
the NHL. If you're a Warriors fan, Tim Roy is phenomenal at radio play-by-play. And when I was growing up, it was the tail end of Lon Simmons on the Giants broadcast. He and Ted Robinson, and now John Miller and Dave Fleming. So whoever you listen to, I mean, it was tremendous. And it really did kind of build the way I thought about approaching broadcast because you have all of those examples and all of those things. And when you're a young broadcaster, you try to take and mimic certain elements of your favorite broadcasters. Well, when you're mimicking Hall of Famers, it helps you a little bit. Um, so yeah, and I look back at that a lot, thinking about, all right, when I approached my first broadcast as a student, I was thinking about what I wanted to try and do, but I was also thinking about how would these guys handle it? What would they say? And if you can do that early on, it really, really helps you because you figure out what is a necessity and what's fluff and what you can let go. So we're really fortunate. Whatever dial you tune into, whatever sport it is, it's darn good.
So speaking of big names, Ron Rivera, he's back in Berkeley. What's the buzz around him being back and what his expectations are in Berkeley and this college football team down in Cal?
Yeah, there's a lot of different varying levels of buzz around him. I think from the student side, there's certain level from the alums that remember him as a player. There's a different level, and then from administration that knows him as a coach in the NFL and a GM at one point in time. He was brought in for a reason to get the program right, and that's a tough assignment in this landscape of college football, right? But the thing that I loved that he did initially, he didn't come in and say, "This is my program. Here's what we're going to do. And it's my way or the highway." He came in and said, "The first 4 or 5 months, I'm going to ask questions, I'm going to listen, and I'm going to observe." And then from that, he formulated ideas for the coaches, for the administration, for on campus, for marketing, for everybody to cohesively put something together to improve the brand of football. So, he's got a great wealth of information. Obviously, he's got the experience, and he knows Cal and he knows Berkeley. So there's a lot of excitement in terms of the expectations from him. It's funny. I've asked him to kind of talk to me as a coach and what he's thought of the team, and he'll kind of go into it a little bit, but he knows that his role is to improve the roster and fundraise and get the program eyes on. So while he's a head coach at heart, he's a former player at heart. His job is to help the coaching staff recruit and get the money to recruit, and then bring in donor dollars and all that to help move forward. And that's the expectations. Obviously, are winning and trying to keep build, but you don't do that nowadays without the other stuff that goes on. And that's, I think, ultimately why you're seeing these GMs being brought in so that they take it off the coaching staff, which they just can't do.
Yeah, and we were just talking beforehand before we click record. Just saying the words general manager just feels so odd for college football. And I watched the most recent press conference with Ron Rivera, and I thought it was funny too that Cal and Oregon State have the same problems with their outdoor press conferences. Someone starts a generator right when someone's talking. It's hilarious. And you just kind of listen to Ron Rivera speak over a generator. But uh, I thought it was really interesting how he spoke about attendance and just needing butts in the seats. Because when someone asked him, "Hey, what are your three goals for this season?" he was like, "Butts in seats, eyes
Yeah.
on screens," because it matters. And for Cal and for Stanford, he mentioned it too. He's like, "We need to both step up." And Stanford off to a pretty rough start this season already under a week zero loss to
Oh yeah, you
Hawaii.
hate to see it. You
Yeah,
just
yeah,
hate to see it.
and a former Oregon State quarterback having a tough game. Oh no. But speaking of quarterbacks, man, I might butcher this name. I've been practicing it all day.
It's okay. It's okay.
Jaren Sungapulutele.
Perfect. Got
Let's
it. A
go.
Hey,
lot of people don't
hey.
get a lot of people don't get the N because there is no N there, but it is Sangapolutelli.
Because someone said it's like Tua Tagovailoa, and I was like,
Yep.
oh, okay, now I get it.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Rivera mentioned that he was not shocked that Sungapulutele was named the starter over Ohio State's transferred Devin Brown, who's more of a game manager.
Yeah.
Rivera
Yeah.
mentioned that Jaren getting to Berkeley in January really helped him. So what should we expect out of the true freshman here in Corvallis in his first start?
Man, that's the $100 question right there. I mean, it's tough because he is a true freshman, right? I'll tell you what I've witnessed in fall camp. There are the upside is tremendous with Jaron. Arm strength, fabulous. Accuracy, great. He worked on his footwork over the course of the summer, from the spring to the fall. We've seen that improve, but he's a freshman. He's going to make those freshman mistakes. He's going to have growing pains. And are you okay with living with that and helping him understand how to get better? Or did you want to go with Devin Brown, who was on the national title team last year as a backup? That was one of the questions. Now, what we watched was very clear that Jaron, in terms of skill set, should earn a starting position. I think he won it outright with the way he played. The hard decision was though, all right, you get your first sign of adversity. Do you want a guy that's been on a national title team to handle that adversity, or do you want a guy that was playing in high school last year to try and handle that adversity? And the answer is that you talk to Jaron, you sense the confidence that he's got. He's kind of got that laid back Hawaiian attitude where I'm ready to go. Whatever comes at me, I'll handle. And he's the guy. So what I'll tell you is that I expect him to be accurate. I expect him to throw the ball well. But the intangibles that are unpredictable, that may determine the game. And we just don't know what those will be until he's seeing another team on the field that he's facing. And I know that sounds like a cliche, but that's kind of where we are. I mean, he's going to use his legs a little bit more than I think we anticipated because he relied so heavily on his arm in high school because he could do that in high school. He didn't need to use his legs. But one of the first things when he came in is, hey, we need to get your footwork right. We need to get you running from the pocket when you need to make yourself, multi-dimensional as a quarterback. But we don't know what that's going to look like until we see it. It looked good in practice. It looked good in the inter squad scrimmages and whatnot, but we all know for the most part that means nothing until you face some real opponents. So yeah, we're gonna see this weekend. I'm looking forward to it for sure, because by all accounts, when he's playing against other guys, he's legit and he looks the part. So we'll see.
Nothing seems like a great test than have to come to Corvallis week 1 and take on the Beavs on a Saturday night in Corvallis. Now, Oregon State has a new quarterback also, Malik Murphy, and Rob and I have been talking about him the last few weeks. Cal's defense is slated to be more of a defensive-led team this year.
Sure.
They're ranked in the top 50 in the FBS in both run defense and pass grade last year. Does that trend continue this year with the additions of transfer linebacker Harrison Taggart and edge TJ Bush?
I think you named TJ Bush. That's a good name to pull here. Historically, with Justin Wilcox, he's a defensive minded head coach. And so we've seen a lot of these defenses kind of take the bulk of the load for Cal teams. So I wouldn't be surprised that the defense is the core component that helps wins a lot of football games this year. Now, that being said, almost the entire secondary is new this season, which it wasn't for transfers. There was a couple draft picks in there. Guys were graduating. It was a very solid secondary last year for Cal. The two names that Beaver fans probably remember from a season ago, Cade Uluave, inside linebacker, tremendous player. He's back. And then you mentioned TJ Bush. He's that Liberty transfer that is a good edge rusher. So he'll factor in there. Aiden Kiana Aina, who plays on the defensive line, he's also probably the other guy that you would probably mention as a returner that contributed the most last year. So those two are really the leaders. I look a lot at the guy next to Cade Uluave because Teddy Buchanan was that player last year who transferred from UC Davis, and now he's on an NFL roster. I mean, he was very, very good. And the two of them made a lot of tackles and helped that secondary do what they needed to do. And by all accounts, Luke Farrelly, who is a redshirt freshman and maybe a name that a lot of people aren't really thinking about, he'll start next to Cade. And I'm really looking forward to it because he was a 3-star coming out of high school, was injured last year, didn't play, and now he's looking healthy and strong. And those two linebackers, if they can do their part, the defense will be very, very difficult.
And that front seven is no joke. Last season, it was definitely the core of the Cal defense, the Cal team. In 2023, when Oregon State visited Berkeley the time before, it was more of a mix and match defense. And Coach Wilcox does a great job of shoring up rosters in a year. And now with so much turnover on the offensive side of the ball,
Yeah.
we talked about Jaron a little bit, but who are his main targets? Who's he going to be handing the ball off to? Like, what can we expect out of the Cal offense this season and this
Yeah,
weekend?
see, this is where I get a little concerned because there's only 2 returning offensive touchdowns on this team from last year. One of them was Jamal Wiley, who was a third or fourth string running back that got a touchdown at a random moment of a game. The other was Tron Grizel. Now, Tron was a wide receiver that was going to factor in a lot. He just only had 1 touchdown catch last year. So, in terms of returners, there aren't really any to talk about other than Tron. So, but the guys to put around him, and I think we have to start with the new look on offense before you kind of dive into the offensive players because Coach Harsin has come in, and most people remember him from Boise State as a head coach. He went to Auburn. Now he's the offensive coordinator. You have to think of what he does offensively to really understand the personnel that they're putting on the depth chart now. And he's a guy that he doesn't mind throwing the kitchen sink at you. It'll be a lot of movement. It'll be a lot of different orientations, different formations, everything. So that being said, there's a lot of speedsters on the team, good slot receivers. Jacob DeJesus comes over from UNLV, and while he's small, he's shifty, he's fast, he's a great route runner, good football player. Mark Hamper is a transfer from Idaho. He's looking pretty strong, and the tight end position has a couple of options there. So. Wide receiver, I think you'll see a lot. And again, with the freshman starting, you might see some short passes to get going, just to get him comfortable and confident. And then we'll see how that goes. Running back, by all accounts, is going to be a three-headed monster between three transfers. Kendrick Raphael, who is from NC State, Brennan High, who's from UTSA, and LJ Johnson, who came over from SMU. All three of those guys weren't the dude at their respective university, but they come over here and now can you piece it together where you're giving a defense different looks with different personnel? And I think that's what they want to do.
And Oregon State's very familiar with taking guys who maybe not have been the main piece at other schools and saying, "Hey, why don't you come over try it over here?" Like
Amen.
there's Kai Wallen, edge from Nebraska. Like you see the name of the school, it's like
Yeah.
you get a guy from NC
Yeah.
State, you're like, "Oh, he's probably pretty good." It's like Oregon State's getting guys from Nebraska, and then they're getting from Michigan. Well, our Michigan guy tore his Achilles, so it's like there's a lot of that going on, man. It's
That's
crazy.
the thing
Just
that's frustrating about now. Like you can pay somebody some money to come over from a
yes,
program and they can injure themselves in fall camp, and you're looking at yourself going, "Well, dang it! Like we just spent part of our NIL on a guy that's not going to play this year."
yep. Happens all the time. Our West
Yeah.
Virginia corner is out for the year, and our Michigan receiver is out for the year. So it's like,
Yeah.
it sucks, man. But I'm curious to know what your thoughts on the current state of college football now that we're talking about this stuff, because having a GM, it's weird, man. It feels professional. Like we're talking to Ron Rivera, who has been to a Super Bowl. He's an NFL
Yeah.
player, and then
Yeah.
we're talking to Andrew Luck over here at Stanford, who is his first year going to be 0-12 as a GM. He's got Frank Reich coaching for him as an interim. It's like what is going on with college football? And Ron Rivera straight up called the transfer portal a free agency period. He said you should
Yeah.
have one free agency period a year, and it's just like, I mean, that's what it is. Yeah, you should have one. Where are we going with this, man? What do you
I,
think about all this?
I love the fact that Ron is at least saying what he needs to say, calling a spade a spade. I mean,
Exactly.
there's not a lot of people going out there right now pointing out the real problems. And one of the real problems was, especially for schools like Cal and schools like Oregon State, the two openings in the transfer portal are an awful system. Because of course you're going to have guys commit and then decommit because they're going to get something better. They're going to have their agent look for more money, whatever. I think it's terrible. But somebody needs to come out and say it that's attached to a program. And that's what guys like Ron are starting to do, call it out. Now, the House settlement kind of helps a little bit of that. But from Ron's perspective, I think they're trying to figure out, right? Do we run it like an NFL roster, or at least somewhat like an NFL roster, where you figure out your payroll, you figure out who it goes to and whatnot, or do we try to morph this into something in the middle ground? And I think there's a period here where we're trying to see where that goes. But Ron's ultimate goal is you take X amount of millions of dollars that you have and may not be guaranteed every year. That's the other side of this because it's completely donor based. And then you prioritize the needs of the current roster with the coaching staff in recruiting, and you go from there. Now, that's all just shooting from the hip for the most part, because we just talked about a guy can get injured, and now you're out a certain percent of your NIL. I don't know how it's sustainable, and I think a lot of people say that, but at some point, the point is going to be reached, and teams like Texas that are spending whatever how many millions of dollars is 50 for their roster. I don't even know what it is.
It's a lot. And then look like Texas Tech, they just got all that oil money. They're just going to keep on getting guys.
Right.
It's
And it's a license to print money at a lot of these schools, and they can just rinse and repeat. I mean, we saw a player in Jack Endries last year. I don't know that he's going to be a starting tight end, but they're paying him to come at Texas, and he
Yep.
may not get as many reps,
Yep.
but he's going to get the money. And I love Jack. I have no problem with him leaving. It's the way that the system is right now. And it just leaves teams that are in that middle payroll in limbo. And I feel bad for the lower level teams, the FCS, the group of five teams. What are they supposed to do? They can't have sustainable rosters either. It's got to change, and it
Not
needs to be legislation at some point. But
for
NCAA
sure.
doesn't have control over that. So
And not that you know the answer to this, but Rob and I have talked about in the past, it feels like for the lower, quote, lower schools like Oregon State, it feels like that Oregon State's going to be a farm system for some of these
yeah, that's
higher
what you
end
don't want it to
schools.
be.
That's what it feels like, though. Is there a way for an Oregon State, a Cal, some of these lower end schools to survive off this, or is it just going to be one of these systems where the lower schools get eaten alive and then it's just them fending for themselves?
Yeah, this is what really was disappointing about the Pac-12 folding because it forced schools to make really tough decisions where there was complete unknown in the future, right? Cal went to the ACC. I can't tell you what that's going to look like in the next 10 years. Oregon State took a leap of faith to try and bring in teams. It looks like it's working for now, but what does that conference look like in 10 years? I don't know. Um, but you're right. I mean, it puts teams in a position where they're a minor league system almost, right? That's what was so tough about watching a guy that flew under the radar last year. I'll give Kedu Loave a lot of credit and use him as an example here. We watched him last year, and near the end of the season, my partner and I, Mike Pulowski, were looking at each other going, "Well, how do we keep him?" Because everybody on a Big Ten roster, on a SEC roster, on a Big 12 roster, name it, is going to be looking at him going, how can we pull him away from California? And fortunately, to his credit, he said, I want to stay. I want to complete it here. I want to continue to play for the Bears. But you're not going to have that many players have that mentality. So you're right. I mean, my first year at Cal, the number was 48 new players on the roster, which I thought was a lot, and it is. Last year was 54. I think this year I haven't confirmed it yet, but I think it's 61. And when you're talking about more than half your roster turning over every year, I mean, what are we doing? It's
Yeah.
horrible for the fans. They don't get to know players and names. They don't get the attachment that they used to. It's hard on the players because, part of the fun of college football is that you get these alums coming back that are attached to the university. I mean, we get Marshawn Lynch, we get Aaron Rodgers, we get Jared Goff coming back. You guys have the same. But if you play for the Bears for one season, you're not going to have that connection. And now that's becoming more and more the reality. It's completely turned upside down from what it was 5 years ago, you know? And it's sad. It's sad.
Justin, you telling me as an A's fan and a Beaver fan that both my favorite teams are gonna be farm systems for other bigger paying money squad?
Hey man, I still have my hope that the A's are staying in the Bay Area.
Oh my God, don't get me started.
Uh,
But this whole thing is contracts the answer? Because it's funny as a fan base, we've had so many guys like Damian Martinez comes to mind, former Oregon State running back who's now with the Seahawks. He's back in the Northwest, and all these Oregon State, Seattle Seahawk fans are kind of like, I don't know if I want to root for him because like
yeah,
he
yeah.
left us high and dry. And like, same thing with like Jaden Ott. He's signing a fan's helmet saying, I ain't effing leaving. And then a week later, he's off to Oklahoma with John Mateer. You're like, what?
By the way, did y'all see where Jaden was on the depth chart today?
Is he not starting?
He's third
Oh my,
Oof.
on the
see,
depth
like
chart.
Wow.
this is what happens when you go to the SEC, brother. Like it's not, this isn't, you're not playing Wake Forest
And
anymore.
Jay and I've Jaden was great while he was here. He was great to us, the media. And I understand, you're wanting to go get your money and leaving, but he was going to be a starter in his third year,
Easily.
you know. Actually, yeah, fourth year. Um, who knows? Who knows? I think the way it needs to be changed, and I don't think it will be changed this way, but the idea of NIL initially was the right idea. If you're a starting quarterback at Cal or at Oregon State and you want to approach Toyota of Corvallis or wherever, and say, hey, I'm the starting quarterback. Let's make a deal. You should be able to do that. And you should be able to use your name, image, and likeness to promote yourself and earn some money. Totally fine with that. And that's not how it was before. And it should have been changed. I get that. But when it morphs into what are you going to do to pay me? That's where it's wrong. And that's where we're at. And now you got agents involved and you got all this stuff. A lot of times there aren't contracts. Who was the UNLV starting quarterback that
Yeah,
bailed before this? I can't even remember his name, but because there was no contract signed, and
right.
so he didn't have an obligation to UNLV. Um, I think it's going to take legislation, and I think it's going to take either the NCAA needs to make a bunch of rules, which they won't, or it needs to separate from the NCAA, which is going to be a massive, massive undertaking because of all the money involved. Um, but otherwise, they're just going to keep pushing the envelope, and it's not going to benefit anybody but the pockets of those that are involved, to be blunt.
That's pretty blunt. Now let's flip the script a little bit and talk about something more positive that's going on
Yes,
this week
yes,
in
let's do that. Let's
Corvallis.
do that.
We got Saturday night football in Corvallis, Cal, Oregon State. Okay. Got two new quarterbacks for each team. We talked about this before we started recording. For both sides, this game feels like a game that could possibly dictate how the season goes for both teams.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, there's a ton of question marks circling both teams right now. We talked about Cal shutting down Anthony Hankerson last year and
Mhm.
how big that was. One of the few times he stumbled last year. What are your thoughts on this week in Corvallis? You said you come in Friday night. You're staying down south. I won't name the city that you're staying in. I don't care about that place right now. I want to know what your thoughts are about Corvallis, what this Oregon State team, what you guys are seeing on paper, and what you expect to see from this Cal team this week.
I'll get into that. First of all, I love Corvallis. I really do. I think it's one of the great college towns in the country. And a side note, the closest I've ever been to calling a perfect game was in Corvallis. 2 outs into the eighth inning, a guy in left field dropped a fly ball. Anyway, love Corvallis. This time of year, it's great up there. So I can't wait. And I haven't been to Research since the renovation. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think Oregon State's quarterback is very, very good. And I think the main difference is he's established as a college player and performed very well at Duke last year. I mean, we're talking about Duke records in terms of touchdowns, right? So new program for him, sure, but I think we can kind of know what to expect from him. He's going to operate very, very well. I think Hankerson, the conversation there is what did Cal do last year to limit him? Because I think it was the second fewest rushing yards in any game last year for him. And I'm set up to talk with Coach Wilcox tomorrow about that very thing. I want to know, what did you see on film that slowed this guy down? Because teams don't slow him down. So that is an X factor for sure. And then the stuff that we talked about, how does Jaron come into a game? Does he remain calm? Does he see the bright lights and the thousands of fans screaming at him and freeze or make a mistake like a freshman is prone to? But the first game of the year oftentimes is tough to predict or prepare for just because it's a new season. But nowadays, I mean, we just mentioned it's 60 new players or so. Oregon State's got a ton of new players too. You just don't know. You just don't know. It's almost like the fundamentals and the preparation have to be the things that you lean on, and limiting those mistakes, especially for Cal on the road. But in an opener, the mistakes sometimes cost you the game.
And I hope he doesn't like the noise of chainsaw because every third and fourth down, he will be hearing it, and it is loud. And Justin, I know you've been there; you've heard it a lot. It can get really annoying. And from a
I've never been there
opposing,
for a night game. I've never been there for night. We played. I think it was in 2015. It was a day game up
yeah,
there, and I was with San
probably.
Jose State. So
Yeah, and that was during the Gary Anderson era. So I remember that game being pretty tight. Seth Collins was playing quarterback for Oregon State. I mean, good Lord. But nighttime at Reeser now with the new renovation,
yeah,
the light show they do, it's like someone has described it as like a nightclub. which is
Mm.
cool. I think that's a lot of college football stadiums have like turned into this whole like let's make it a party kind of atmosphere.
Lean into it. Small town college, like
Yeah.
lean into it.
100%. And it's going to be a 7:30 kick, dude. Every single student in that place is going to be drunk. So it's going to be a fun atmosphere and I think it's going to be a lot of
So you're saying I should get to
chippiness.
the booth early?
If yeah, it might be smart.
Yes.
Yeah, it might be
Yes.
smart. It's not like Oregon State's like the rowdiest crowd in the world, but their students can say some things where you're like, "What?"
Yeah. I would describe the Oregon State fan base as passionate for sure.
Yeah,
From
definitely. And
from
and hopefully we see that because last season, as the season went on, it definitely was. We were loosening the bolts a little bit until the Washington State game. The fans showed up again, so we know what Reser can be at night. We know it can be a really special place to play, and I'm excited for you to get to experience like the new side of things. You get to the new press box. I've heard it's great, and and if you keep on letting us get first downs, like when I was in Seattle a couple years ago against Michael Penix, we were sitting in the Oregon State section, but there's a couple of Washington fans next to us, and the band showed up. Every first down we get, we play that song. And he's like, "You guys are like USC." And I was like, "No. In order for you to stop that song, you can just stop us. That's how you stop the song." It's not like USC where they just play it no matter what. So hopefully on our side, we get to hear that song a lot of chainsaw, a lot of craziness, and I think Jaron is set up for a tremendous career because he's the best prospect at Cal in a very very long
yeah,
time,
yeah.
and I'm glad he's made the right decision when initially he was like I'm going to Cal and he's like I'm going to go to Oregon, and then he transfers to Cal. That's a good decision. We like that
Yeah,
decision.
yeah. And I don't know, I still haven't talked to him at length about what transpired there. Because I mean, I'm sure you guys remember they were showing him and social media had him on the turf of the Rose Bowl for Oregon.
Yeah,
And then all of a sudden, oh, he's coming back to Cal. So I don't know the full story there, but we're certainly happy that he turned around. I remember him coming onto campus. I think it was our final home game. It might have been the second to last home game, but I remember Marshawn Lynch and uh, it was like a reunion team that came onto the field. Aaron Rodgers was there, and they were all talking to Jaron. So that tells you like how much the diehards wanted him. And then when he didn't commit, it was kind of like, oh, now what do we do? Um, but they're thrilled that he's here. We're thrilled that he's here, and we're looking forward to seeing him on the field.
should be a fun matchup on Saturday night, man. I hope we get a lot of eyes on it. ESPN, national TV. It's a big spot for Jaron, and I think he's going to have a great career, just maybe not on Saturday night. Hey, Justin, thank you again for coming on, man. You guys can find him at Justin Allegri. That is Justin, Allegri on X. And check his website out at justinallegri.com. Justin, man, you're a pro. We appreciate you so much for coming on, and have a good time this weekend, man.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Good chatting with you guys.
Yes, sir, man. We'll see you.
Thanks, Justin.
That was Justin Allegri. Y'all. You just feel good talking to that guy, man. He's just a good dude. One of the best announcers in college football. If you guys ever have the chance, I always recommend to just listen to the team that you want to listen to's broadcast. And if Justin's on it, hype him up, dude. Get him on the varsity app. Listen to his games. Listen to his calls because he's great, dude. Like that's an A+ human being. And yeah, man, Josh, how are we feeling now after Justin kind of speaks his words about college football and Cal this season? How are we feeling about all this?
Well, the state of college football still sucks. I said college football. There we go. We're talking about Cal too much right now. Good
Nice,
grief.
nice, nice.
It still sucks, right? For Oregon State, Cal, it's still going to suck. And we heard Justin talking about just the dark side of it, the reality of this farm system-esque style of college football we have, and it's just what's going to happen. It sucks, but we talk about putting our work boots on every weekend and going to work. You just got to deal with it, right? Players are going to leave at the end of the year, and it's just what it is. The big name, small name, whatever they are, right? We talk about Cal coming into Research Saturday. They got this flashy full four-star quarterback that is on the question mark end of what's he going to do playing his first game. We talked to Justin about coming into Research Saturday night. That could be no joke. Like that's no daunting task for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yet you're going to ask a four-star, freshman quarterback to come in and get a dub. That's not easy. Flip side of that, we got a flashy veteran Malik Murphy on our side, right? And we talk about this game is going to give us a reality check of how this season's going to go. Are we going to have a Malik Murphy led season where he did what he did at Duke last year and he's just going to shatter numbers? Or are we going to see, I don't know what the word is, maybe an unlikable side of Malik Murphy? I don't think that's going to
No, that's
happen.
not
No
happening.
chance. No chance, right? But week one, here's your test. Malik, go out and do your thing. And we'll get on to it later on here as we keep rambling about this game. But it's an interesting game to start the season, and I think we'll find out a lot from the offense and the defense on what kind of season we're gonna have.
It's a very underrated matchup. I think, most of the eyes of college football world will be on Ohio State and Texas and Clemson LSU. The other late night game is Utah UCLA, which has a lot of interesting storylines with Nico coming over from Tennessee to UCLA. How does Utah look now with a Devin Dampier at quarterback? So there's a lot of other games going on that might catch the eyes of most people, but Oregon State Cal is a very underrated matchup, I think, and it's a familiar matchup. Obviously, it's the second time as non-conference members, non-members, as playing against each other, and don't know when we'll see Cal again, honestly. So it's very interesting, man, because there's just so many, like you said earlier, so many question marks about both teams. Cal, you look at their two deep depth chart, you're like, these are all names that did not play here last year. And then you look at Oregon State's depth chart, which came out today officially for week one. And you're like, okay, I know most of these names, but it's like wide receiver two is what sticks out to me. They list David Wells Jr. as wide receiver two. The other side that sticks out to me is Jalil Tucker is the other side corner, opposite of Exodus Ayers. Cybrad Wale wins the nickel position. And then you look at other spots like tight end. It's like Bryce Caulfield is listed as a starter, but like Riley Williams is probably going to get a lot of play because they're going to need more receiving options out there. So Riley's a good target to have. You look at the running back room, dude, it's like stacked with dudes. It's insane. You got Hank, you got Ollie, you got Hatcher, you got Jake Reichel's listed as the fourth guy, and then you have Marquise Crosby, who we've heard good things about coming from Louisiana Tech. Now he's listed all the way down at five. You're like, I mean, is he going to see the field? Like, I don't think Reichel's going to see the field a lot. So
No,
it's
no,
like,
no.
what? It's crazy the depth that they have in the running back room, which is always good to have. Those guys take a lot of beatings, and we experienced it last season. You can lose a guy, so it's nice to have depth. It's nice to have backup options. But that one thing, man, the wide receiver two role with David Wells and Eddie Freehoff right there, back to back. When you look at this wide receiver room now that I see all the names here, just at a bird's eye glance, you're like, oh, nobody else can get hurt.
Yikes.
Nobody else can get hurt. Like we're okay. If it's not Trent, you're relying on David Wells, who played, sparingly last year. Yes, I understand quarterback play was an issue last season. It was absolutely a problem. But there's times, where mainly the Boise State game, there David Wells is looking, he's looking like he's struggling against a good competition. And we can't have that this season, man. We need a solid option at wide receiver two. And it was unfortunate today that Darius Clemens did post on Instagram that he had Achilles surgery because he ruptured it and he'll be out for the year. So that sucks, man. I know we've been pretty much waiting on the official word, but once our boy Ryan Harlan was like, yeah, scooter and boot, we were like, oh, yeah, he's done. So,
Yeah,
it,
Dr. Wilson called that one.
yeah, apparently I am more of a doctor than Ben Branson. We'll talk about him later. But yeah, it's like Malachi Durant's out here, okay? He hasn't seen the field a whole lot. Is he going to step up? Like, he's probably going to get some playing time. He's going to get some snaps now. Eddie Freehoff, man, we heard a lot of good news about him. He's not listed as wide receiver two, and I think that's fair because David's just been here a year, so I think they just kind of give him the nod. You're not going to see David every single snap out there. I guarantee you're going to see Eddie quite a bit. They're going to probably split a lot of time there. And then at slot, it's Taz Reddix, dude. And last year showed a lot of promise. How's he gonna form into himself this season with a good quarterback? I think I expect a lot out of Taz out of the slot this season. I think he's a very reliable receiver. He catches a lot of balls. It's just getting him open, getting him in space because he's got some speed and he can use it. Same as Zach Card. So I look at this wide receiver room and I think if we can just, Malik, quarterbacks can make receivers look better, and good receivers can make iffy quarterbacks look better too. But I'd rather have a good quarterback and an iffy wide receiver room than the other way around. So I trust Malik to get this job done, even with one main contributing receiver coming back and then a pretty solid tight end room. So it's can we block for him? Because it's Strand, it's Berger, Wells, Big Nate Elu, and Tyler Morano. So it's it's go time, baby. Like this depth chart is out. We're looking at this thing. We're a few days away here. I love looking at the defense and seeing a name I know. I know that name. I know that. It's like you see all these guys who were playing last year. If they stay healthy, that's a good thing, dude. Because returning names is always a good thing. The one thing that stuck out to me on defense was Tyrese Ivy Jr. won the job over Jaheim Patterson. Do I see Ivy playing a lot at safety? No, I think Patterson gets in there quite a bit. So that's the one thing that kind of stuck out to me. Super excited about Dexter Foster. Can I talk really quick about college football 26? Just really quickly. I was going through because they redid the rosters again, right? They didn't add like any new Beavs, and Dexter Foster's like a 63 overall. I'm like,
Of course, why not?
he's our starting linebacker. They got like Goodman in there, who's our third string linebacker. They're like, yeah, he's starting. He's a 74 overall. You're like, say you don't know anything about the Beavers and just move on. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But Josh, what sticks out to you about this depth chart if you've taken a peek at it?
I think the first thing you hit right on the head is the wide receiver room. When you look outside Trent, you get that feeling in your stomach of oh. If Trent goes down, question marks, right? Who steps up? You look in there, Zach Card is immediately someone that comes to my mind. Dude's quick, right? He is fast. How do you utilize him? I posted, if anybody that follows me on X, I like to post highlight videos here and there. And I posted a highlight video of him yesterday running a fly sweep, and dude's quick. Um, but Malik's gonna be, how does Malik make this offense better than what it was last year? Obviously, Malik himself, he has the ability to do that, right? But when you start putting this depth chart together, obviously Hank, RB1, got to keep him healthy. But if he does go down, I mean, look at that depth. We talk about depth on a depth chart, that's it right there, right? You got
It's the
dudes that
only
are
position with that many names listed.
you got dudes that are going to step up. But looking at the defense, like you said, it gives you hope. Along with, like I preached so much last week, Coach Bray calling the defense. You got guys that are returning, guys that know the system, that are going to hopefully excel this year with Coach Bray calling plays, right? I'm so excited. If there's anything I'm excited about this year, it's that. I am so excited to see a Coach Bray led defense back on this field. I'm I just remember seeing Bray when he was calling the defense, how hyped, like, dude was just so hyped to be calling
Yeah, I'm
defense
excited
on
to
the
see you
field.
get excited, dude.
That's what college football is all about, Rob. That's what you want. You want your coaching staff hyped about stuff. Now, the flip side of this, what do you do with a freshman quarterback, four-star quarterback that you have at Cal? How do you prove that you can, in a game that feels like you should win, how do you prove defensively that you can go out and win this game? Because Justin said it also, this game's going to go one or two ways. Either he's going to come out and Justin never said this. I'm going to make some quotes up, but he's either going to come out and he's going to destroy the defense, or he's going to come out and he's going to lay a goose egg. You just don't know, right? And Justin did talk about this week one. You just don't know what you're going to get out of anybody. You have so much roster turnover, so much everything coming into this week. You just don't know. You don't. And we can sit here and be all excited about it, which I think we are, right? But until Saturday at 7:30 when I flip on ESPN because I get that channel and I can't find the CW yet. Thank God for ESPN streaming services. We don't know. So we can sit here and talk about all of this, but until we see Malik take his first snap, until we see the defense with their first, drive of the game, we can sit here and be so hypothetical about all this, but I don't know. Unless you
Yeah.
have an answer for me. If you have an answer, please speak, because I don't know, Rob.
Well, the thing is, like what Justin was talking about, he was like, yeah, Jaron looked the part in all of the scrimmages and all the practices. And it's like, yeah, he's playing against his own guys. But we've talked about this every single week. Put the white jersey on a kid, things change. You put a college kid on the road inside a hostile environment that is Reser Stadium on a 7:30 kick. on ESPN national TV, an opportunity for our fan base and our team to show out to say that we aren't that 5-7 team from last season. We're not going to have another 44-7 goose egg of an effort against a Cal team. This is when it shows up for Oregon State. These are the kind of games that need to make a statement. You have to win this game in order to catapult your season into the right direction. Because look, we look at the schedule now. Coming into the season, we were like, Fresno State, always kind of a tough out. They typically, always give teams a really tough punch on the road, okay? Just to go into some week zero notes before we fully get into Cal here. Fresno State looked very pedestrian. They lost 31-7 against Kansas, man. KU could have made it 38-7, but they were really nice, and they took a knee inside the Fresno State 5-yard line.
Well done.
EJ Warner, Kurt Warner's son, is the starting quarterback for Fresno State. He came from Temple and Rice. Okay, not great schools, obviously. Speaking at Temple, Giovanni McCoy is sharing the starting quarterback job at Temple. But EJ Warner really struggled with turnovers in his career. Did it again against Kansas. 2 picks and a fumble. Okay, new coaching staff, and that's a big trend for this Oregon State schedule. Lots of new coaches at new schools. Fresno State's one of them. Coach Entz from North Dakota State. He went off to USC last year to be an assistant. Immediately became a head coach at Fresno State. So big trend there. It's going to be a little bit of a learning curve here, I think, for Fresno State because their opening drive was great. And we'll talk about them next week a lot more after they play Georgia Southern too. But their opening drive was awesome. And then after that, you're like, oh, this Fresno State team looks slow compared to Kansas. So curious to see how that goes against Oregon State when they come to Corvallis. But again, lots of new coaches, man. Coach Entz is one of them. And our Week 11 opponent, Sam Houston State, also played a game and lost 41-24 to Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky did whatever they wanted in the air. 400 yards, and Sam Houston State was horrible on third down and fourth down. They went 2 of 14 on third and 0 for 3 on fourth down. That is just abysmal football from them. Coach Longo's in his second year there, so he has his hands full with that defense, I think. Giving up 400 yards to Western Kentucky, who is a pretty lethal offense in their league, I think that's going to be an easy shoe-in win for Oregon State. And we talked about him a little bit earlier, and I wanted to talk about him now. Josh knows what's coming. You probably know what's coming at home or in your car, wherever you're listening. Ben Gulbranson started for Stanford over the weekend against Hawaii.
Stud.
And the things that we have been talking about of what is bad about Ben Gulbranson, everything happened this weekend that was bad about Ben Gulbranson. They lose 23-20 to Hawaii. He was 15 of 30, 109 yards, 1 interception, 3.6 yards per attempt, and a QBR of 73.9. We talked about this with Justin off air. I asked him, is Stanford going 0-12? And he said they have like 3 winnable games, and San Jose State is maybe not even a winnable game for them. Ben, you're not listening to this, but do not go through with this as your last season. Do not do it. Andrew Luck came out of retirement to manage this, to name Ben Gulbranson as starting quarterback. Don't do this, dude. I don't think Andrew Luck knows what he's doing. I don't think he does. Because this team they put together is atrocious. It's Hawaii should not be winning games against Power 4 opponents. That run is long gone. They haven't been good since 2019. And they're like, oh, Timmy Chang's in year 3. It's like, look at this roster, dude. Hawaii's not going to be any good. Stanford should not be losing that game. And Ben Gulbranson should not be losing to Hawaii. But last season, Ben Gulbranson lost to San Jose State. Ben Gulbranson lost to Air Force. You're just like, yeah. This guy, he had a good game, a good half against Washington State. And he handed the ball off a lot against Oregon in 2022. What does this mean for Ryan Gunderson? How did you win any games with Ben Gulbranson playing quarterback for you, dude? I think this feeds into my Ryan Gunderson was not the bad guy last year take at all. I don't think this is not a Gundy issue. Now you see, and we're about to see Giovanni McCoy at Temple too. You're just going to be like, they're going to probably bring him in to run. So, yeah, dude. I feel bad for Ben because, like, yeah, he did a lot of great things at Oregon State. Like, that comeback against Stanford was awesome. That throw he made to Silas Bolden in the corner of the end zone was the best throw of his career. The throw he made to Trayshawn Harrison to win the game was not a good throw. Trayshawn made an incredible play. But, like, those moments are sick, right? That's what you think about when you think about Ben Gulbranson and his dot that you posted on X to Jermaine Terry against Washington State last year. Like, that's the good Gulbranson. We've seen that. He has some arm talent. But then the play action roll to your left, throw it right at the Hawaii guy's face in front of you, and it's just like, oh God, dude, I do not miss that. I do not miss that.
It's actually quite funny because after I saw that play, that pick that you're just talking about, where he probably could have just handed it off to the Hawaii guy and
Or just
would have
thrown
would
at the
have felt
ground like
bad.
he always
Yeah.
does.
Uh, I actually, in a moment of seconds, thought about maybe it wasn't a Gundy issue. Maybe it's not a Gundy issue. But then I remembered it is a Gundy issue. And
Ah,
until Rob, until I'm proven wrong this year, which I hope I am, and Malik is gonna save his butt so much this year. I am still not seeing eye to eye with Gundy. Okay, so there's that. That's not a hot
again, brother.
take because I complain about it every week. So here we go.
I'm going to quote Nick Saban, who was quoting his high school coach. It's not about plays, it's about players. Okay.
Yes, I understand that. I
It's not
do.
about plays, it's about players, man. And that's what it comes down to. Players make plays, players win games. And Malik's going to win us some games, man. And I'm feeling good about him. But all right, to kind of touch on some other things, man. A couple of guys you didn't see on the depth chart, like I mentioned earlier, TJ Crandall and Darius Clemens not on there. And Micaiah Tongue, unfortunately, who announced his retirement from football. I am just heartbroken for the kid, dude. He's done so much to try to get back just to play one more year of football because in his 6 years that he's been in college football, he's only gotten to play one full season. And he was a receiver and he was mainly a blocking receiver. I don't think he got any targets. So he only got a few games as a linebacker, and that sucks, man. I can't imagine the pressure that you feel upon yourself to live up to your dad's footsteps as Reggie Tongue, an Oregon State legend, a great NFL player. I feel terrible for Micaiah, but a lot of life lessons can be taken from this, man. And if there's one message you could take, if once you see the writing on the wall, read it, comprehend it, man, because he did the right thing. He posted on YouTube saying, dear football, and it sucks to see a guy like him who has just again worked his ass off to come back, and it's going to fall short for him just a couple of weeks before the season. And he said, "Look, I tore my meniscus, and there's a couple of surgeries I could have done. One was just like shave it down, and then you have a month to recover, and he could have played some. But he said like arthritis is a big issue very early on in life with that kind of surgery, and it's almost like a guarantee from that surgery, from what I read upon it, or it's just a full repair, year recovery, and go on with your life." And he said, "I'd rather not walk with a limp for the rest of my life, so I'm going to hang it up." And Trent Bray talked about it today at his press conference, and it sucks, man, because I was looking forward to watching him play. It's just one of those things, man. I even kind of got the thought, I was like, what if I just got a Micaiah Tongue jersey just for the vibes, dude? Because I want to support the kid. His business, his clothing wear, loafwear is off to a very good start. It's definitely not my style of clothing, but if you feel inclined to go support Micaiah, go do it, man. He's going to be around the team. He said this year he's going to ride it out with the guys and be a good teammate. But man, that sucks for Micaiah, dude. That's just one of those things, man. You just can't put words onto it, really. That it sucks, So good news is Coach Bray announced his captains for this year. Anthony
Heyo.
Hankerson, Malik Murphy, Nico Taylor, Skylar Thomas, and Trent Walker are going to be the guys going to the coin toss, baby. So I think that's a good group, man. Your quarterback as a leader, as a captain, is always a good sign. Last year, there was not that. It was Bengal Branson later, and he was a backup. So it's definitely good to see your starting quarterback as a captain. A couple other things, too. The Oregon State football media team, did you see this video? I think you did. The Friday Night Lights. Yeah, clap it up, dude. What a beautiful, incredible video that the Oregon State football media team put out where they're just driving around Corvallis. They're doing a Friday Night Lights TV show opener to the style of Corvallis.
So beautiful.
It's got like 50,000 views on X. I'm sure it's got probably the same on Instagram. But look, the amount of likes and reposts this thing has, guys,
Disgusting.
Beaver Nation, let's go. Wake it up, man. This media team does a tremendous job. They do an absolutely spectacular job hyping up the season, getting a ton of good video from practice. And then they do one of these videos where you're just like, dude, it's beautiful. And it doesn't have enough reposts. It doesn't have enough likes. It's got a lot of views for sure, but it needs way, way more. Because look, social media, I get it, is bad. Social media bad. But views are good. Okay. That's what I take from this. Put some eyes on your football program that you support, man. Repost it, share it, tell your friends, this is dope. Do those things, man. Those little things matter. Just like Ron Rivera said, butts in seats, eyes on screens. It matters on social media too, dude. If your general manager at Cal is saying those things, they obviously matter. So get out there and just be a little bit better for your social media team at Oregon State, man. If it's anything you want to repost, it's Oregon State football. Do it.
For sure. And here's my one bone I'm going to pick with our fan base the whole season. Okay. So if you're an Oregon State fan, buckle up real quick. I will not tolerate looking at a TV screen in the second half of a Corvallis football game and see empty seats. I will not tolerate it this year. I will call it out every single week. It is ridiculous. I don't care if it's a 7:30 kick. I don't care if it's a 10:30 p.m. kick like it is for Rob. Rob's going to stay up all night and watch it. Okay.
9:30.
Same thing, no difference. Okay. Don't be those people. Don't be those guys that go out into the parking lot and stay out there for the second half. Please don't. I know no one's gonna take this to heart. And I'm blabbering to Rob right now on a computer screen.
Remember, they got rid of that, right? The reentry thing. You can't go back.
Oh, we can't?
No, they got rid of that last year. But still,
Okay.
I mean, dude, I feel like last year they said they did, but I feel like people still like
For
the
sure.
security like still let them in. I think Sarah Elcano talked about that. So I'm with you, man. And I think there's still tickets available for Cal this weekend. It's a little bit disappointing, but I do see the prices of them and like where this. It's like the corner sections of the now old side, and there's still plenty of tickets to get. So, man, go to the games. I know a lot of you guys in Oregon live pretty far away from Corvallis, and like the commute home can be kind of a drag, especially after a 7:30 kick. I totally understand that. But you know what? Sunday, you had the day off. If you go to church in the morning at church, you might be a little groggy. I'm sorry, man, but like we need to come out and put butts in seats, man. It looks good on TV when every single seat is full. It looks awesome on our fan base. And what is the message it sends to the rest of college football who is staying up late to watch that game on other parts of the country that maybe a lot of people don't know a lot about Oregon State and their current situation, but all they see is a full stadium? Consistency, baby. Let's
Yeah.
preach it. Let's be about it, and let's show up every single week. I know last season was tough. It was hard to watch that team play. The offense was boring at times. I understand that. They went out and got a guy at quarterback. They brought back their main weapon on offense in Anthony Hankerson. They got to retain a guy like Skylar Thomas. Come out and support the guys. Like go. I understand like maybe day of game it could be cheaper tickets, but make your way down to Corvallis and find a deal to get into the stadium, man. I can guarantee you can find a cheaper ticket on game day. So get out there and support. If I was out there, man, I'd go to every single home game. I really would. But I live here in Texas.
And Rob's taking a shot at me. But anyways, wear black.
But you have kids. If it was me in your situation, I'd be at every home game. But you have kids. I understand it. But yeah, wear black. Yeah, that's what they told us to tell us. Hey man, the TikTok comments did not like us picking the Beavs to go 8-4 or better, which was hilarious because there's a bunch of non-ball knowers on there. I feel like, but let's finally get into some Cal notes, man. You and I, Justin Allegri gave us a lot of good ammo, man, and he even has a lot of unknown with that offense. It's like who's gonna really step up in all the weapons category for them. So after studying up on Cal, dude, watching the press conferences of a prominent figure as your general manager like Ron Rivera, it feels very professional over there. And I did mention that the generator thing is an issue for them too, and it's pretty funny. But watching Ron Rivera talk about football, it just feels professional. Yeah, and it feels weird how he speaks about college football in the terms of free agency time periods and just talking about revenue sharing. You're just like, this is college football. Oh yeah, Ron Rivera is a general manager. It's like it's incredible. And like Oregon State doesn't have one, obviously, and Trent Bray has spoken about it a little bit. Like, yeah, it could be something that we could potentially get down the line. But it does definitely feel like comparing Oregon State to Cal. Cal's in an ACC conference, and obviously they're in a much better position than Stanford. And like they have a general manager, and it feels like they're operating completely as an NFL team. It's like Oregon State's not doing that. They're not really operating completely at the professional level. So it does feel a little bit of a step down in that case when you're comparing the two programs. Is Ron Rivera like some sort of genius in current football? No. I mean, his last few years in the NFL were pretty bad. He got ran out. So, but he's been to a Super Bowl, man. He's coached a lot of good teams, and he's a very good football mind. So I think Cal's in pretty good hands with him. And Cal has a pretty interesting season ahead of them. Their over under win total for the year is 5.5. This is year 9 for Justin Wilcox. 9, dude. He's 42-50 as Cal's head coach. And he's definitely run into some issues, keeping guys there, retaining players, losing close games. They've had a lot of that going on in the Wilcox era, but they've had a nice, a few couple of good wins. Just haven't really put together a full season yet. And it kind of feels like with a general manager like Ron Rivera around and Wilcox in his 9th year, it's like it's now or never for Cal, for Wilcox at least. So it's going to be really interesting for Cal, man. And I just don't know how they do this in the ACC. Like Justin mentioned, what does this look like in 10 years? Who knows? What do they look like on Saturday night on offense? Who
Who
knows?
knows?
But I'll give you my 3 keys to the game. We got a spiffy new quarterback, man. We got some new toys to play with this year. Malik Murphy. But I think the focus still starts on establishing Anthony Hankerson, Salah Allah, in the run game. Let's test that front 7 of Cal's. They were pretty stout last season against us, and it was definitely an issue. We couldn't really do the one thing that we do well. How does that change? How do we get better from last season? It starts against a really good front 7. This is a great test for this offensive line in what has a lot of question marks. Number 2 is put them in a tough 2nd and 3rd down. Last season, there's just far too many 3rd and manageables. Lots of 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 2s. And the Oregon State defense really didn't have a praying chance with the defensive line that they put out last season in those situations. Sacks kill drives. You got to put the quarterback on the ground. Even if it isn't a sack, we got to get to him and make him throw quick. If you give him 3 Mississippis to throw the ball, Sangapolo Tele is going to kill us. He's got a good arm, man. I watched a few of his high school tapes and some of his 7-on-7 throwing. He's got a great arm, man. And I think he can have a lot of problems for this Oregon State defense if they give him too much time to throw. Anybody in the power forward level, a 4-star, 5-star quarterback, whatever you are, if you give him time to throw, he will figure it out. You got to get to him. And number 3, Reeser needs to be rocking to get this dude out of his comfort zone. They all been saying it. Ron Rivera said it. Wilcox said it. Justin Allegri just said it. He's got that like cool, calm Hawaii Island demeanor, man. He's just always staying cool and calm. Let's get him rocked. Let's get him not cool and calm. Let's get that chainsaw revving. It's 3rd and 14. Like, let's go. Let's get these guys in uncomfortable situations and let's get after them. The Trent Bray defense is back, baby. Let's go. Josh, give me your 3 keys to the game.
I feel like I took the easy way out on this, but I think the game Saturday comes down to it. Key number 1, Malik. Nothing better than to get him going than a late night Saturday night game at Reeser, right? How much more could you ask for than this fan base showing out for the Beavs, but even more for Malik, right? The Beavs went in and they dropped some dough on him. I'm assuming. I don't know that for sure.
I think it was like a half a mil, wasn't it?
Okay, that's some dough. That's your dude this year. Okay, you better be there to support him because he's going to, like you said earlier, and we said last week, he's going to win some games for you. So go out there and support him. Second one's obviously Hank. Let the dude freaking eat. If he's hot, let him freaking eat. I think the Beavs win big if Hank rushes for over 100 yards. And then my third one, I'm just repeating myself, but Gundy. I just want to see him call a smooth game. I don't care if that's Malik bailing him out on some plays or what it is. I just want to see the offense go out and dominate from start to finish. That's it. Just give me something smooth, something that I can carry on through the season that allows me to know that I have faith in Gundy doing what he needs to do to make Malik successful. Rob, do you have any worries to this week's game?
Well, of course I do. I don't know what this team really looks like yet. I'm not a reporter. I'm not at practice. I'm just sitting in Austin, Texas, reading everything about this team. So what are my worries? What are the main things that have stuck out to me from reporters and from coaches that have spoken during their press conference and just reading their answers? It's the offensive line. Will it be consistent enough against a solid front against Cal, dude? That's a really good front 7, like we just mentioned, and they added good players to it. And 44-7 last year, and it really could have been 44-0. They just gave us a garbage touchdown at the end of the game. Is this offensive line going to be good enough to protect Malik Murphy and give him enough time to throw the ball? Because now, hey, your wide receiver 2 is out for the year. Do you have enough time to throw it to Trent Walker? Do you have enough time to figure out if David Wells is open or not? Three Mississippis, baby. We need enough. We need enough time. Speaking of wide receiver two, who steps up at wide receiver two? That is a worry of mine. Okay. Is Eddie Freoff going to be a guy? Is David Wells that much improved to get that spot? Is Taz Reddick's going to be a guy in the slot position? I think he's going to be pretty solid. But on the outside, who's going to step up besides Trent Walker? And we haven't really talked about it much, but the kicking game, dude. I don't know if you noticed, but Max Walker is the backup kicker and backup punter. Caleb Ojeda won the kicking job because essentially nobody else was available to compete against him. Coach Christian mentioned in his presser like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago saying, I just hope and pray when a kicker goes out there. It's not good to hear. And from a coach who has his unit has struggled at Oregon State, not what you want to hear. And I don't know if we're going to be kicking a lot of field goals this year. I think we're going to be going for it a lot on fourth down and maybe punting in situations where it's 4th and 8 and we're on the other side of the field. Maybe we just try to flip the field as best we can because I don't think Caleb has a great leg. I think he's accurate inside the 30, but it's anywhere beyond that. I think we're going to have some issues. So that's where I stand. Give me your worries for the game this weekend, Josh.
Obviously, the big one, can the defense prove that they have improved this year, right? Here's your opportunity. Couldn't ask for a better start to this season to come out and shut down Cal. We'll get to our score predictions here like in a matter of seconds, but we are very close, but we're also very not close. So I'll be very interested to see what this defense does for us because you want to get good start to the season. Here you go, and then you have another opportunity next week to feel good about yourself before you head down to Lubbock. So that's my big key. I am willing to bet if I was a betting man that this defense comes out and looks improved, but you'll find out later on this season very soon if when they get tested how improved they really are. My second one, can the offensive line protect Malik and give Hank the running holes he needs? That's been our question so far these last few weeks. What are we going to get out of this offensive line? Are we going to get a struggling offensive line where Malik's having to scramble and figure out ways to make plays on the run? Assuming Hank's going to be able to go out and get his own just because of the level of runner he is, right? But there's, a handful of people in front of him that have to help and do their jobs also to make him successful. So those are my two keys. I think we'll find out very early Saturday night what this defense is going to do and how this offensive line is going to protect Malik and help Hank.
I'm excited for Trent Bray, man. I want to see him run
Hey,
up and down the
yo,
sideline.
Trent
Yeah,
Bray.
dude, Trent Bray defense is back, baby. All right, man, it's time for some score predictions. We are finally back. I can say this. This is the Hannah Grace score prediction brought to you by the Hannah Grace family, a nonprofit located in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon City, Oregon. Hannah Grace is a local organization that serves foster children and children facing instability through a free music program, visitations, support, and more. Be on the lookout for more info about their upcoming annual fall fundraising banquet on October 11th at hannahgrace.org. That is HANNAHGRACE.org. Brother, 44-7 last year. I saw a Cal fan. My bookmarks are loaded with Cal fans who are super confident with this weekend. Last season, I was pretty confident with the Bees, turning a page and going down to Berkeley and saying, hey, we have success against this program, even on the road. That did not happen. And as this week has kind of crept going on, and I find myself worrying a little bit more as we go, I'm like, oh man, freshman quarterback, is that going to be good or bad? Haven't seen him play. We only got high school tape on him. It's just hearsay for him so far. Cal's offense is so unknown. Their defense has a great front seven. But we're at home. This is Reser Stadium, baby. It's 7:30 kickoff, man. The sun's going to be going down perfectly at kickoff. Beeves 28, Cal 24. Bring the noise, bring the chainsaw, boys and girls. We win a close one. We cover that 3-point spread, and we're off and running 1-0. Josh, let me know.
All right, here we go. This is what we've been waiting for. This is all the fall camp, spring scrimmages. This is it. What are we going to get out of this Oregon State team? And hopefully we are feeling pretty good after week one heading into week two. And it's just taking those big steps each week to a point where we can confidently say this Oregon State team wins on the road. Thankfully, they're not playing at Cal this year. We're here in Corvallis. But I have the Beavs winning 38-17.
Woo!
I think we see a very inspired and led Trent Bray defense that is going to give Jaron some problems, right? I think we see a Malik Murphy led offense that proves that Oregon State can go out and compete with some teams this year, right? I'm excited for this football game, man. We have waited so long for this week. I was so hyped to have Justin on today. It it just made me that more excited for Oregon State football. It's back. We made it. It's time to go. And we're going to hopefully see a big or small Oregon State win this year that this week that we can feel confident about going into week two.
I love it, man. I'm here for all the blowout wins. I hope we can
Yeah.
pick more of them. And I'm excited to see this team play, man. I just so many questions that I want answered, and we'll see. But now, just to close this thing out, okay? We mentioned last week that Josh's son Jacoby liked both the Beavers and the Ducks, okay, because he thinks the Ducks jerseys are cool per se, which I said that's a very kid take. Okay, now Jacoby is putting on the headphones. Okay, Jacoby, as your dad, unmute your microphone. Okay, can you please explain and defend yourself of why we like both squads here in the state of Oregon?
Um,
Here, let me help this out. He's got some nerves. He's got nothing to be nervous about because we're a little podcast here, right? But
Yeah, ain't nobody
Jacoby,
listening to us anyway, Jacoby. Go ahead.
you told me that you like the Ducks for their uniforms, right?
Yes.
That is true.
Yes.
That's awful. I've done a terrible job raising kids. Now, I want you to tell me why, outside the uniforms, why you like the Ducks.
Well, first of all, they're better. I'm not sure they have this also. They won more championships than the Beavers.
They've won 0, so that's a terrible take.
They have?
Yep.
Oh,
Here we go,
You
Rob.
mean like conference
Nothing.
championships?
I don't know.
Like they've won the
But
Pac-12 more than Oregon State, yeah?
Are you talking national championships or Pac-12 championships?
I have no clue which one.
Like the big trophy or the little one?
Little.
Okay, yeah, I mean, sure, sure. Okay, fine, fair. Next.
Okay. And also, what was the other one?
What? Okay, how about this? We'll take a little pressure off you because we're coming hot and heavy at you right
It is
now.
tough.
Okay.
Sorry, Jacoby.
If you had to guess how many wins the Beavers have this year, I have not asked them this question, Rob. So this is going to be very interesting. They play 12 games, okay? 1 through 12. Can't be that hard, right? How many wins do you think the Beavs have this year?
6.
That's not good.
Oh, that means I
Okay,
lose my
so-
bet, Jacoby.
Jacoby is obviously a fake account on TikTok. So here we go. Okay.
He's user 27756. He's doing 6'7".
So here's the second part of this question. How many wins do you think the Ducks have this year?
Hmm.
4.
I'm here for it.
Hey, okay.
Okay.
Hey, 6 is better than 4.
Four is that sucks. And that Oregon sucks. So that works, right? Okay. You've done a great job defending yourself, Kobe. Thank you so much for coming on. You have the keys to a Beavers win this week.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's about how we feel about it too,
Those are good
so.
keys. Hey, just go out and win the game, you know?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully he straightens up about this whole thing. Okay. If he thinks they're not going to win as many games, I mean, do we really still like the Ducks, you know?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's how that works, right? That's how
Yeah, for
kids.
sure.
That's how all kids operate, right? Because like, look, when I was a kid, everybody all of a sudden was a New England Patriots fan. You're like, why are you a Patriots fan? Oh, because they win. And that goes on. Let's have a good day on Saturday, boys and girls. Get out there early, be a dog, and go Beavs. Josh, any last words?
Go Bees, baby.